Hype seems to be something that plagues all media, but it especially seems to affect people that play video games. Even if a game isn't bad, it's still possible or even likely that it missed someone's expectation. That's why it seems the best way to release a game moving forward could be to release it suddenly with zero lead up. At least, that was Mike Bithell's plan with his new text puzzle game, Subsurface Circular. You are a detective, assigned to riding a train. During normal duty, a mid-tech, one responsible for communicating between humans and robot, requests your help in investigating the sudden disappearance of other techs. As you continue riding, you meet many different techs with a wide variety of functions. As an investigator, you have the ability to store and use focus points to steer a conversation in a needed direction. Bots continue to get on and off the train, each able to give you new nuggets of information. This futuristic world has been very much fully realized by writer-director Mike Bithell, who many know from previous games like Thomas Was Alone and Volume. While these two games were very much traditional in their gameplay, the former being a puzzle platformer, the latter being a stealth action game, Subsurface Circular barely has any traditional gameplay mechanics at all. Most of the action here comes from simply clicking dialogue options. Luckily, dialogue is often the star of games from Mike Bithell. His writing is just as smart and witty as ever as he illustrates a massive world you never actually get to see. The game starts with incredibly simple tasks. Most of the time you are just trying to get through all possible conversation branches. Occasionally a tech will ask for help with directions. This is solved by looking at the map, then conversation can continue. Things slowly get more complicated, like learning a joke from one tech to tell another, so you can learn the word needed to deactivate their protocol in a third tech. Of course, as the game goes on, it gets more and more complex. About an hour into the game, you start talking to a glitched tech whose words are all one letter off. So, hello is said as him. The way you discover this is pretty genius, and the game continues to find ways to make simple dialogue-based gameplay interesting and exciting. I wouldn't go so far to say this game is challenging, but solving its puzzles and overall mystery is satisfying. And while there may be a few puzzles that some could find frustrating, the developers offer two different hint systems that do not affect the game's ending. The game looks and sounds incredible. With such limited space, it's clear they wanted to make the most of it. Each tech is well rendered, and the use of color and the way they are posed gives them a surprising amount of unique personality. Sounds of the running train are joined by diegetic music coming from nearby techs who just seem to ignore you. The UI is simple and very clean. The conversation threads basically feel like texting someone, leaving little to cause confusion. The game is presented in a widescreen format, no doubt to give the game more of a filmic vibe that also adds to the claustrophobic feeling that comes from public transportation. I don't have too many issues with the way this game played, but there are a few nitpicks. Using focus points requires you to click a phrase twice. Also, it can take a little too long to get through a conversation. You can adjust this in the options, but can't access options without exiting the game. Again, these are minor problems, but they do take me out of the game's atmosphere. Not really a fair complaint, but it was surprising to play a game by Mike Bithell that did not have loads of impressive voice acting. Obviously, as a budget title with this much dialogue, voice acting may not have been the best use of funds. But after you get Andy Serkis to voice your previous game, where do you go from there? The story and setting of the game takes references from past stories of the future and robotics. You'll see the often used mentions of Asimov's laws of robotics, as well as small tongue-in-cheek references to technology in the game's different subway stations. Locations like Null Zero, or Syntax Error. While the story was interesting and had many twists in its 3-hour runtime, some of the plot feels too convenient. With everything happening in one night, talking to all the bots that just so happen to lead you to the conclusion. Despite this, the ending is pretty great and offers some pretty deep thoughts. After finishing the game, you gain access to some really great concept art and a very informative developer commentary from Mike Bithell. Unfortunately, again, there is no voice acting in the game, so any commentary that comes from Mike Bithell is in the form of text. This really does slow things down a lot, but there is so much interesting information. Like, look at the train. All of the inspiration for the train's design came from New York subway stations and the ships in Star Trek. Really interesting information that people might miss, specifically because they don't want to read that much extra text. The team at Bithell Games really did a lot to prove how powerful a narrative game can be in such a small package. It's a world fully realized through its writing and design. Once again, Mike Bithell and his team have proven they can make anything, and I can't wait to see what they do next. Again, this being a budget title only costing $7 that had no prior announcements is really crazy to me. You have people complaining every single day that it's impossible to find a game on Steam, and putting your game on Steam could end in failure just because of the saturation. The game's already built up a lot of press, and of course that's because of Mike Bithell's track record, and the idea of releasing a game stealthily is still such a new practice. I really do hope the game does well, despite its lack of advertising. I am sure people like me covering the game will help out as well, but hopefully we can kind of do away with the old tradition of announcing a game 4 years ago and delaying it over and over again. I'm looking at you, Crackdown 3. So again, before I ramble on too much, Subsurface Circular is a really great game made by Mike Bithell and his team of incredibly talented artists, coders, designers. It's unbelievably well done for what it is. It's clear they wanted to make something like a text adventure, but take it to the next level. And these are the most sharp visuals I've ever seen from a Mike Bithell game. It's crazy to think that he started with simple shapes in Thomas Was Alone and is now making these games that look like they could be demos for Unreal Engine or Unity. I'm honestly not sure what they made this in. But I highly recommend the game. It's not something you want to watch Let's Plays of or streamers play because it really is about your experience playing it. There are not too many branching paths, just kind of one towards the end. If you watch someone else play it, you definitely won't get the same experience. So, again, Subsurface Circular, highly recommend it. Go pick it up. It's 20% off right now when this video comes out. And again, thanks Mike Bithell and your team for making amazing games. And again, to my audience, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like it. If you get the game, comment down below. If you have any questions about the game that are making you reserved about picking it up, let me know in the comments below. I'll be checking out the comments. And yeah, thanks for watching this video, guys.